It sounds like this. Hello and welcome. As a person whose email address is not particularly difficult to find online, I get from time to time some very strange things in my inbox, and most of which I ignore. End of story. However, one day, a little while ago, I got an email asking me if I was interested in an AZTEC death whistle, to which I thought to myself, yes I am. After all, who else has made a long and illustrious career out of reviewing AZTEC whistles? So I thought to myself, yes, I am the right person to take on this task. And so, not so very long ago, this arrived in my PO box. It is my very own AZTEC death whistle. But before I get into what these are, I thought I would describe briefly what this is. And it is a box. But if we take the lid off my box, we see, in some rather nice packaging, this. A heavier than what I expected replica, which I believe is cast in resin, of an AZTEC death whistle. Adorning the front, we have this little cheerful skull, and continuing its anatomical correctness, it has a hole at the top into which you blow, and it creates a sound. Now, other replicas of this concept create a sound that sounds a bit like a shriek, but not so this one. This one creates a sound that's sort of more like a haunted rushing wind. And so I'll put this aside for a moment, and we'll talk a little bit about what death whistles might be. After all, we don't have the advantage of some actual AZTECs putting their own videos and views up on YouTube, so there is a degree of uncertainty. However, we'll go with that because this has never really been a particularly factual YouTube channel, so let's just lean into that a little bit more. The AZTEC death whistle, also known as this in the AZTEC dialect of English, I'm not going to try and pronounce that, is an object that was found in a temple to a god of wind. And so there is a theory that it was used in some sort of ceremonies to do with that god of wind. After all, the original one of these that was found, which isn't the one that I have here today, which is a replica, was analysed to have made a sound like the rise and fall of rushing wind. However, we don't know that for sure. It was also found next to a very dead skeleton, and so there is the theory that it could have been used in ritual sacrifice, potentially connected to that god of rushing wind or the god of ritual sacrifices or someone else. More recently, there's been a popular theory that these death whistles were used on the battlefield to strike fear into the minds of those who listen. I think that last one, though, is a little bit discredited because the analysis of the original one of these, which they found, which isn't the one that I have here, it didn't create the sort of very loud shrieking noise which other replicas have been noted to make. There have been several versions of these that do make very loud, wailing, screaming noises, but it is suggested that the original one didn't. So armed with all of that factual certainty, I mean, what else would you expect from this very notably factual YouTube channel? Armed with all of that, that is the AZTEC death whistle. You're very, very welcome. As a musical instrument, it seems a little bit one-dimensional. It does one's type of sound that you can vary by blowing harder and softer. It doesn't have a pitch per se. I analysed it on the Spectrum thing, and it was just a splodge It just creates a whole lot of sound, which is kind of what wind also does. So there's that. You could make a different type of sound if you wanted to use it as a percussion instrument and drop it, throw it, or hit it, but I'm suggesting that that isn't its original purpose. So, having unboxed it, blown it a few times, frightened my children once, I'm therefore now left in a position of not really knowing what I can do with it from here. So I'm looking for some guidance. If you have some thoughts and suggestions about what I could do next with my AZTEC death whistle, then please let me know. If you're interested in getting one yourself, there is a link in the video description below. Thank you for watching.